What's going on? Let's talk about UFC 284. I was pumped to watch this fight. I'm going to start off by saying this. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below. If you like the content, check out TMF Apparel, USA.com. Get you some gear. Well, I got UFC gear. I got all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to say this before I get into what I thought of the fight. I think Alex Volkanovski is seriously underrated in the UFC. I think he's underrated for a few reasons. And they're not really even the UFC's problem. He doesn't talk a lot of trash. He's not a big social media person. So you don't see him on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or wherever on TikTok, talking a bunch of stuff, making a bunch of content. This guy's just a no BS, works hard, trains hard, fights hard kind of guy. That being said, underrated because you don't talk about him a lot. He's active. He fights. He fought a good bit. Look, he fought Max Holloway twice. Amazing fights. People still will probably talk more about Max Holloway than they do Volkanovski. Second to that is this dude is a straight up beast in the octagon. He is fun to watch. I will say that personality-wise, he doesn't have a lot of, crazy personality traits in the octagon. He's not like Conor being kind of smug, but man, is he a fighter. And we're going to get into this now. Islam, look, I watched him. He barrels through guys. When you've got these Dagestani wrestlers coming in there, they're just bears. They're just bears of dudes. They get in there, they get a hold of you, they don't let go. And, they just try to drag you to deep water, wear you out, and submit you. Volk wasn't having none of that. This fight, 25 minutes, 2 decision. I'm going to argue this. I give it to Volk. 3 out of 5 rounds, Volkanovski. I get it when you look at the stats. Islam had more control time. He had 7 minutes of control time versus Alex's 3. That's fine. Control is on the ground in a dominant position. That's not really necessarily controlling the fight. Alex, I would say, on his feet, man-to-man, controlled most of that fight with pressure and with skill. The leg kicks were wearing Islam down. The punches were getting through. He was aggressive. He wasn't really backing up. And even though Islam got a hold of him, he really didn't seem to look that threatened. There was a time, body lock triangle, 3 minutes to go. I thought, man, this is going to be it for old Volk. And he was smiling. He was talking mad trash in probably the worst position he could have been in the fight at all. Islam's on your back, body lock triangle, up against the cage. Look, there's not too much worse of a position to be in. Aside from on your backs, even still, the octagon, you got a better chance of getting out. And yet Volk manages to stay alive for 3 minutes through that whole interchange, punching him, doing damage, smiling, talking shit to him the whole time. Amazing. Amazing way to withstand that. And you could tell, toward the end of the fight, he's like, I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of going down to the ground with you. And in the post-fight interview, he said he's not that strong. Now, Islam is a pretty strong guy. So, for 155, he probably walked into that fight at 170 something. He's a strong guy, and he's big for 155. And Volk is a strong dude as well. He's just smaller, and he's got a lot of strength and a lot of explosiveness. And he landed some good strikes on Islam. He put him through the waters. And I'm gonna say I do believe that Volk took that 3-2, really close fight. There's no way that was a 49-46 anything, but whatever. It is what it is. That's the scoring. That's the fight game, whatever. And you've got to give Volk credit where credit's due, where and I think this is the best, even though he hadn't watched the fight yet, he had to think back and go back and study the tape. I think it's the best response we've seen to a situation like this, which is Volkanovski didn't respect Islam's striking, and Islam didn't respect Volkanovski's wrestling. So maybe Volk went in there and just really prepared for a ground and pound match, and Islam didn't prepare as much, or maybe he did prepare more for the striking. And so they went head to head, and if they had taken it a little more seriously on the other side, they probably would have went the other way. I think the leg kicks on Islam would have made a drastic difference in the fight had he keep landing them, keep throwing them. And I think that Islam probably could have done more damage on his feet to Volk if he had maybe given up some of the takedown time and some of the control time. But none of that really matters in the fight game when it goes to a decision, right? A lot of times we get caught up in whether or not someone is physically getting beat. That is not exactly what it takes to win the fight. Sometimes all you have to do is play the game by the rules, which are points. Takedowns matter, significant strikes matter, control time matters. Getting up from the takedown matters, but not nearly as much as the takedown. So some of the fights that we watch with the grapplers, they're not as exciting to watch because it's a lot of control time and it's a lot of slow, methodical movements on the ground, whether it's jiu-jitsu or wrestling. And we didn't see a whole lot of that this fight, but that is where the judges' scorecards come into play because, as I said, sometimes you just have to play the game. I don't think the game was scored quite accurately. If you go just watch the fight back, maybe I'll think about it differently. But I know round 1, Islam. Round 2, Volk. Round 3, Volk. Round 4, Islam. Round 5, Volk. That's how I got it. That's how I see it. Moving forward, Volkanovski will fight Yair Rodriguez. Going to be an amazing fight. Yair is, I think, going to be a little bit more of a challenge for Volk than Islam was. But we are going back to 145, so we're in a little bit of a different realm at that weight class. And then we got to see what's next for Islam, right? So he beat Charles and then goes up and fights the guy in a weight class below him. So he hasn't really gone back in. We'll see what happens. I think the best fight that I would look forward to at 155 is going to be the rematch for Charles Oliveira and Islam. I think that's where I'd like to see that go. The 155 class does have some great fighters in it, but that's what I'd like to see. And then Volk goes down, fights Yair Rodriguez. Let's see what happens there. If he beats Yair Rodriguez, then I don't know who else is really left for him at 145. I'd like to see him probably just dump that title, go up to 155, and go back and go after whoever's up there. I think he looked great up there. He's definitely a smaller frame guy for 155, but so is Michael Chandler. You know, I'd argue that. You know, let's get Volk in there with Michael Chandler. I think that'd be an exciting fight at 155. So going forward, we still got some amazing fights coming up. We've got John Jones and Cyril Gane, and that is rapidly approaching. So we're like 2 weeks away from that fight. It's going to be amazing. I think we're going to have a stacked year for the UFC. So follow the channel for more content. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it. See you later.